What's up, guys? It's Daven Treague, and this is another tutorial. What we're going to go over is a lot of things that a lot of people don't go over. Mainly the musicality of mixing, the things that you should listen for, the things you should count. We're going to go over gridding, why gridding is important. There's a lot of things you can't achieve if you don't use your grids correctly. A lot of people have gotten into Traktor, have barely even touched the surface of what Traktor can do, mainly because they don't want to do the steps necessary to fully utilize what the software programs can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over musicality. What I mean by that in this tutorial is mainly doing the counts, 8-bar phrases, what is a phrase, what is a beat, what is a bar, those things we're going to go over. We're also going to go over the grids. The main reason why we're going to go over the grids is because Traktor does have the ability to help you count your phrases, also be able to help you count phrases to cue points, which is really awesome. And then also I'm going to show you some of the other benefits of being able to have your grids done, being your effects, and the benefits of having your effects and having your grids. So, with that being said, I've got a couple tracks loaded. We got, looks like Maximal Crazy, it's Tiesto track, and then look at DJ Icy track on each side. First thing we're going to do is go over the gridding and why. The gridding functionality and why of a track is for many reasons. There's three important ones. Your first main reason is if you have purchased Traktor for the effects that are built into Traktor, which there are quite a few, right there, quite a few effects, you are fully not getting the benefit of all of those effects unless you have your tracks gridded. The reason for that is because the way that Traktor communicates with everything is based off the grids. Traktor has no idea where the beats are. It just knows where a thing called a transient is. And a transient is just a peak inside of a waveform. If you don't go into the track and set those grids, then your effects won't sound correct when you try to use them. Mainly things like the beat masher, bouncer, reverse grain, pretty much all of them really, but the stutter type effects, the beat masher effects, those things are very, very dependent upon your grids being correct. So, first things first, I think we went over this a couple tutorials, is just being able to set your grid. As you see, I zoomed all the way into this track. You can do that a couple ways. You can do the zoom function here, or I have a macro set for mine for the up and down arrows. And then what you do is you want to set your grid. If you look at this here, whoops, look at this there, you see that little, let me delete that cue. See that white flag there? Okay, that white flag is beat 1. In order to set that beat 1, you want to go into here where it says grid, and this one's locked right now, but you would set this by dropping that little flag. Now, if you were to see this as a new track that you haven't gridded before, you want to make sure you delete all the grids first, and then drop it right on that first beat, because if you don't, then you'll actually have 2 grids inside the track, and that's just going to mess everything up, and you'll defeat the whole purpose. So that is how you set your grid. Let me get my cue point back in there now. There we go. All right, and then to check your grid, usually what I'll do is I'll set it to about 8 bars, and then I'll roll forward 8 bars, and you'll notice that that point is dead on a beat. See how every time it hits that beat or the peak in the waveform? All right, so that's how you test your grids if that's correct. Now, like I was saying with effects, we're just going to do this real quick. With effects, you've got your beat masher. And you notice that was actually on beat, so that's the joy of a beat masher. Obviously, that's a very quick overrun of a beat masher. This is not the effects tutorial. So that is important for your effects. That's one of the main reasons. Now, the other main reason is for helping you be able to count your phrases, count your beats, count your bars, etc., etc. Now, you'll notice here there's 111 here, and then there's 111 here as well. Now, when I start playing the track, you'll notice that over here it says -4-7, and this one has 1-3. Okay, it's like this one is counting down to something. It's actually counting down to my next cue point, which is right here. Okay, so the closer I get to that cue point, 111 happens right there, and then it automatically goes back to -2 again. It's actually counting again to my next cue point, which is right there. Oops. There it is. My next cue point, which was right there. Okay, so let's go back to that. All right, so that is the counter. So first I'm going to show you how to set that counter up. That way it shows up on your screen there, and then we'll go over why. Nope. Track decks. Okay, here. So if you go and click on track decks inside of your settings, okay, you'll want to go to your track decks, and then what you're going to want to do is you can put it anywhere up here in this deck header area. All right. Usually I have mine title, remaining time, BPM, And then down at the bottom, I've got my beats to cue. Okay, so you go down to the beats to cue area. Okay, and then you've got the beats. Okay, so then just select your beats area here. If you put those two in there, it's going to count correctly. Now there's one more thing that you need to do as well that will help with your phrases, and we'll get more into the reason why in just a second. You want to go down and you want to click on transport, and you want to go down here to your beat counter. Okay, make sure that this says 8 bars. Okay, and it comes default by Traktor, says 4 bars. I have no idea why, but yeah, just change it to 8 bars by moving this little slider around. Whoop. And 8 bars. There we go. Okay, and then once it says 8 bars, then you're ready to go. So just close out of that guy, and then you'll notice that you'll have your beats to cue on this top left area, and then your beat counter on the top right. Now for the actual musical aspect of it all is when you hear any music, and I mean any music, it all has some form of structure. Especially in the EDM world, there's a lot of structure. It has the same structure. It might be divided, it might be the same, it's all divisible by 8. And the reason why I say 8 is you've got things called beats. Okay, we all know what beats are. Let's come, we'll do this track. Obviously, we know what a beat is. A beat is the downbeat. Okay, so you can't really miss that. That's a beat. That's what makes the song go. Then after you've got beats, you've got bars. Okay, so a bar is 4 counts of beats. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that is where the important part is. The next set that you divide it out by 4 again is what's called a phrase. So you have 8 bars, which means 8 counts of 4 is what a phrase is. Okay? Anybody can get DJ software and beat match. Only the people that understand what's going on can get DJ software and actually phrase correctly. Software can't phrase for you at all. It could try its darndest, but as you can tell, you have to set your own grids, you have to set all this other stuff and blah, 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 to make it actually do what it's supposed to. So, we've got this little chart here, and this chart helps you understand a little bit better what I mean. You got your 4 counts, and then you got your beats, got a total of 32 beats there, okay, and then you go through, and then you've got a total of your 8 bars. Okay, so we got this chart here. The chart helps you out. It's got all your beat counts on top. I've got all your beginning counts of your bars highlighted. You can see the drop down there if you actually got your bars and how to count those bars. And then the drop down below that is your full phrase. Okay, learning how to count phrases is going to be the biggest change in the way that you're mixing if you're not already doing this. I've not seen a tutorial that accurately describes this, so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. So let's take that formula that I just gave you there, and we're going to listen to the Tiesto track from the break. Okay, so we'll go to the second cue point. Go ahead and listen to the beats there and count to yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 8. And watch what happens to the track after 8, 2, 3, 4, that next one. There's going to be a change. It's either going to be the beginning of a build, it'll be a new instrument, or it'll be something leaving. It's the same for every track that you listen to as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and listen to this. Okay, so there was 2 sets of 8. Okay, which means there was 2 phrases there before the main drop. All right, obviously, if you could take that calculation and apply it to another track that you're mixing into, if they follow the same calculation, which they do, by the way, it's going to give you a more seamless mix. So let's go ahead and listen to a different track. This is going to be a breakbeat track. It's on the Lick It track by DJ Icy. We'll just do the beginning of it for right now, mainly because it's all beats at the beginning, and you'll see what happens in a change, phrase-wise, with just the break beats and no builds and things like that. So here we go. Remember, start on 1. You're going to count to 8 with 4s, and then listen to the phrase changes or the instrument changes. Here we go. Eight, 2, 3, 4.
Come to get it, got it good. Shake that booty like you know you got it under the hood. Take a
So we saw what happens there with the calculation there. Every phrase, something new happens. And you can use that to your advantage when you're mixing. Not only it helps you with your mixing in key, but it helps you with your phrasing as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these parts together with phrases in mind. And then I'm going to do it again with phrases just out the door. I'm going to beat match correctly, but I'm going to start it off phrase. And listen to the change in how your mixes sound with just that difference. So we're going to go to the end of this guy. And we'll follow our phrases. Let's see, we got 1, 2. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start it like right there at the beginning of that phrase. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start the mixing right about there. And then I'm going to follow the phrase count. So I'm going to wait till 1 before I start this side over here. Okay, so here it goes. Follow the counts. Just follow along. It'll make sense once you hear it. So anyway, here we go. Wait till the last part of this phrase to swap out the bass lines. You heard how the effects were actually on beat with that actual track? It helps. So you can be. They could continue to pull it out, or in this case, I can continue to let this play because there's enough song left in the left deck as it is in the right deck before that break, and it'll just even out evenly right here. Okay, so there was that. You saw how the phrasing and everything worked there. Okay, so now also you saw how the effects worked and how important the grids are with your effects as well. Now I'm going to do the same identical mix again, except this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the track 2 beats off. Okay, so I'm still be beat matched, but I'm going to be 2 beats off, and just watch what happens to the end of the mix and how it sounds. Okay, so here it is again, beat matched correctly, but phrases completely ignored. Do not ignore your phrases; they make the biggest difference in your mixes. So anyway, here it goes. Right now you can't hear any difference, but wait. Notice how that part changed on the break beat, but hadn't changed yet on the Tiesto track. Now watch, this part's about to change. See how that fought each other? It was almost like train wrecking, but not really. It's on beat. Most people who are listening over like, okay, cool, yeah, but that's listening. If you don't have the musicality of your playback, then I mean it's the biggest difference in what you're doing. So just listen to those phrases and work with those phrases. Those phrases alone are going to help you expand everything on your mixing. Notice the song just now ended when before it did. Now, just to prove to you that it applies everywhere, this is a completely different song. Okay, and we already listened to the beginning of it, but let's listen to this break here. Okay, the break follows the same rule. If you look right here, see how it says 711? Okay, it means it's already on a new phrase, hence the 7. If it was another phrase, it'd be like a 6 or a 5, etc., etc. But now, watch what happens to this one, and look at it count, and see what happens after the phrase itself. Cool? Get the idea. So now you can see how that could benefit you. For example, let's say if we started mixing here. Okay, I know by looking over here I have exactly 2 phrases, 6 bars left before that next cue point. Okay, when you start looking at the data in front of you and you process it as fast as you're mixing and loading tracks and stuff like that, then it's something to be able to kind of give you a warning that something is coming ahead of time. That is that. That is the extent of this tutorial. Pretty quick, pretty easy. I wanted to get the basics of your phrases and your beats and your beat grids and stuff down before we got into anything in depth. Next tutorial, we're going to go into a little bit more of the advantages of the grids and being able to do transition mixes between like 130 BPM tracks to 140. So like house tracks to dubstep, using the sync functionality for its true benefit. It gives you so much more abilities to mess with, and one of those abilities is to be able to use up to 128 different samples that are 45 seconds long and layer them with your tracks. Another one of those things that you just can't do unless you have the sync functionality. For those users of Ableton, you notice warping. People perform with Ableton every single day. One of the remixers of the track that we're using uses Ableton, Skrillex, obviously. As far as Traktor is concerned, Traktor's just a live version of that. So, anyway, stay tuned for some more tutorials and a little bit more in-depth workings of this wonderful machine here and this awesome software right here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Daven Treague's tutorial. See you guys.